Thanks for spending your weekend with us. What's up?
How was your weekend and what did you see?
We really had a really fun weekend watching these guys do their thing and show where they fit in and where they have a chance to try to figure into this roster. Saw really good stuff in the draft picks. We're really pleased with the way they learned and picked things up. Their conditioning level was adequate for this work right now. We got a ways to go, but so they reported in pretty good shape. Unfortunately, the two receivers that have hamstrings that are just of concern. We just didn't want to push it on the weekend. Want to give that some more time. That's for Ursula and Gary Jennings. But everybody else did real nice stuff, and it was very competitive as much as we can be under the rules that we have, and we learned a lot.
What did you like about Travis Homer over the weekend?
He showed a really good sense for the game. He understood the offense immediately, had no problem picking things up. We did a lot of different stuff with him, running the football, route-wise, protection stuff he seemed very comfortable with too. He seemed like very well-versed. I know, like I've said to you earlier, that the special teams guys are really excited about what he can do, and you could just kind of tell he's got a real good sense and feel for the game.
How is he as a pass catcher?
He's very good. He did really well. Matter of fact, we spent some extra time on that to make sure that we have a feel for that. So he did a good job.
Overall, your impressions of DK over the 3 days?
He had a great weekend. He really did. He had the opportunity to catch balls of all different kinds all over the field. Down the field, of course, he was really comfortable with all the long ball stuff. Everything we did with him, he was very comfortable with. I know that everybody's wondering about this route tree, thing and all that. I don't see that even being a factor. He looks like he's been very well versed, been coached well. I know he had, and I've said before, he had really good work that he did since the season was over with the guys that he worked with. Jerry Sullivan is an extraordinary coach, and he came in here ready to go. He's in good shape, and he ran fast, and he looked good, hung through all of it. So. It was really an exciting, really first introduction.
How did Marquise and Ugo do picking up the stuff?
They did really well. Those guys were both smart kids, and they understood the system. And we did a lot of stuff. We changed coverages. We made them make adjustments. We pressured. We did all kinds of things to see how they would handle it. And there's going to be no problem at all with those guys. The linebackers too. Both the inside guys did a fantastic job. Handling the system, those four guys worked together really well in their communication, so that everybody was coordinated and organized, and it was impressive how well they communicated. There's some advantage in that Marquise has played with Cody, and you could kind of tell there was a little something there. Ben was terrific at handling his stuff and helping out, and Amadi too. He's a very well-versed football player and had no problem. He played nickel and safety. Played a lot of nickel in the camp, which was good, more than I thought he would, and was very comfortable there.
With Derek Thomas, the quarterback, is there a bit of Trey Flowers and the physical profile there?
Really, the profile is very similar. The background is not the same. He's been a corner more so, but size-wise, speed-wise, they're really close. Yeah.
Did you just see enough the first 2 days?
No, he had a little bit of a groin thing that we thought it was worth just, and he's gone so many days in a row because he's been working with the other guys too, and he's got days coming up this week. Also, we go right back to work Monday, Tuesday again, so we wanted to make sure that he can get through it and that we don't, further any soreness that he has.
You mentioned linebackers on Friday as well. When you have all these new guys, it's all kind of chaotic. To have two linebackers who kind of take command, how helpful is that?
Well, it really stood out. It really jumped out. We've been in these situations many times, and you could tell their expertise and their willingness to really study it up and communicate with the coaches really well. They transferred the stuff from the classroom to the field exceptionally, and it stood out above any groups we've ever had in here. Those were the two best guys we've ever brought in.
What did you see from LJ Collier from the courts the 3 days? What stood out about him?
He's going to fit in the way we want to play him. There's a lot of work to be done because there's no pads for these guys. But as far as the style of play, the way he fits into the scheme, it's going to be the right. We've made the right choice in that regard, and I think we have a good plan for it. Now there's a lot to learn. We got a long ways to go, but very satisfied with what he did.
LJ's background, coming from such a small town, was that evident when you were looking into him and scouting him?
I think it was evident when you look at his history and how he got started. It took him a while to acclimate at TCU to get where he was playing. He didn't play a lot until his middle of his junior year, and then he started all his senior year. I think it was a big jump. I think there was I might be wrong. This is like, was it 25 kids in his senior class or 12 kids or something? It's 25, is it what it was? Yeah, I mean, how much smaller can it get, you know? So that's as small time as you can come from. So I think that jump was significant. That's why his story is as it is. But he is well versed. I mean, he's been in a very complicated system for defensive line, and he had no problem at all with our stuff. He jumped right at it.
What do you think of the camp Darren Gardner had?
He was really obvious out here that he's got some background. He's played some football. He did a nice job.
Floyd Allen made some nice catches today. I mean, what did you kind of see from him?
Well, I was really impressed with this entire group. The whole group of catchers they made plays throughout, and maybe you saw some today. He has made a couple good plays, but there's a bunch of other guys too. So we like this group, and they make it difficult on us to figure out who to give the shot coming to camp. So they did very well by themselves, and the tough decision is a good decision.
What did you think of his backflip?
I didn't see that. I didn't see it.
Did you find a backup camper out here?
I don't think so. You know, Fitzpatrick looks like he's got a pretty good toe, but I don't think we can count on him.
DeMarcus Christmas and Phil Haynes, what did you see out of those guys?
Well, this was interesting for Phil, because this is the first time Phil's really worked in his stance. I said to him, as we were in the competitive moment that we have, where we're kind of faking it out there, we're huddling, and I said, what do you think of the difference between the way you've been playing? He says, this is amazing, because a big guy like that gets to go back and get in the huddle and catch his breath instead of snapping the ball every 14 seconds, so he noticed it. So there's some new things for him, but he's going to fit in fine. Again, he's really strong, physical, got a good attitude. He's smart, had no problem with any of the scheme. Yeah, he'll be competing. And you asked about Christmas? Yeah, DeMarcus did fine. He looked good, played three technique the whole time. It's really hard to tell in the defensive lineman, until we get him in pads. But he had no problem picking things up, so that's a good sign.
The quarterbacks, what did you think of?
I thought it was hard on them. I thought the quarterbacks had a hard time. I thought they struggled with the system and the play calling. A lot of guys calling plays for the first time, in the huddles for the first time, under center for the first time. So there were some brand new experiences, and so they were competing on many levels just to get going. So we'll take a look at the film now that we get out of camp, see where it all fits.
How about Jazz Ferguson?
He's got potential. He's got a lot of potential. The fact that he's the big guy. I go back to his film. I think he weighed in at 240, and that's bigger than he needs to be. So we'll see when he's more at his playing weight. Which is probably in the 20s. 227, something like that. So we'll see how he looks. I thought he looked a little bigger than he needs to for this time.
DK Metcalf had his left ankle spatted up all weekend. Did he come in just a little under 100%? Was he nursing something?
That's why he taped it. I think he should have taped the other one so you wouldn't have asked that question. But I think he's fine.
They can't really make a bunch of plays on the ball, but was Ben decent in pass coverage like he was in college?
Yeah. He showed all kinds of stuff. We did a lot of play action stuff to check them out. There's a lot of nakeds and boots and things like that to see how these guys would react. He sees the game really, really well. I have no problem with what he did and what he showed out here. Also breaking on the ball and the speed that both those guys have showed up. So we're really excited about those two guys.
This is a different topic, but Cliff Kingsbury is making the transition that you once made. In your experience, what is that like going from college to the pro game?
I don't know how much Cliff had been in the NFL before. Was he ever in the NFL before?
I think he backed up Brady for.
I'm talking about coaching. So to me, it's a different transition. If you've been in the league and coached in the league, and then you go to college and come back, it's different. This is the maximum challenge for him, and he's a great ball coach, and he's got a great system and all, and I'm sure that it won't be something he can't handle. But when you haven't been in the league, it's there's just some unique things about the makeup of the way things work and the time frames and all of that you have to get adjusted to. The rules are different for how we can coach guys and all that, and there's just a lot to acclimate to. So I'm sure he's challenged. It's hard for anybody first time, and if you haven't been here, then it's just more of a challenge, but it's not something he can't handle. Guys have done it for years.
Was Demetrius Knox okay? Or
yeah, we just have to hold him out, and he's not quite ready to go. He's got a couple weeks before he can get back.
Anything else?
All right.
Thank you.
See you guys.